You open your phone to check the time. 45 minutes later, you are deep in a rabbit hole of gym fails, a cooking video from a country you will never visit, and a heated comment section about whether a hot dog is a sandwich. You did not plan to be there. You do not even remember how you got there. And yet your brain, your beautiful, sophisticated, allegedly intelligent brain, chose this over the report that is due tomorrow. And here's the thing, it wasn't laziness, wasn't weakness. Your brain made a completely logical decision based on its own internal wiring, and the people who built your apps know exactly how that wiring works. So let's talk about what is actually happening up in the noggin when scrolling feels better than doing literally anything productive. Your brain is not built for work. It's built for reward. Here's your first uncomfortable truth. Your brain does not care about your deadlines. It does not care about your goals, your career, or that project you have been putting off since Tuesday. What your brain cares about, deeply, evolutionarily, at a cellular level, is reward. Specifically, the chemical hit of dopamine. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. That's a common misconception. Dopamine is actually the wanting chemical. It fires not when you feel good, but when your brain anticipates that you might feel good. It is the signal that says, pay attention, this might be worth pursuing. It is what gets you out of bed in the morning to hunt for your breakfast, or in modern terms, to reach for your phone. Now here's where it gets interesting. Not all dopamine hits are created equal. Your brain's reward system is obsessed with one specific thing: unpredictability. Back in the 1950s, a psychologist named B.F. Skinner was running experiments with rats. He had them pressing levers to get food pellets. One day, he ran out of pellets and didn't want to stop the experiment, so he started only rewarding the rats sometimes, randomly, unpredictably. He expected them to push the lever less. Instead, they pushed it more, obsessively more. The unpredictability didn't reduce the behavior. It turbocharged it. Casinos figured this out decades ago. It's why slot machines pay out randomly rather than every 10 pulls. The uncertainty is the addiction. And then, with breathtaking precision, every major social media platform built the exact same mechanism directly into your phone. Your phone is a slot machine, and you are the rat. Pull to refresh. Scroll down. What do you get? Sometimes something boring. Sometimes something funny. Sometimes a notification that someone liked your photo from 3 years ago. Sometimes something that makes you feel terrible, and you cannot look away. You cannot predict what is coming. And that unpredictability keeps your dopamine system locked in a permanent state of maybe this next one. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris called smartphones slot machines in your pocket. And he wasn't being poetic. He was describing the exact same reinforcement schedule Skinner mapped in his lab 70 years ago, now coded into an app you check 52 times a day. Stanford research found that it is not even the reward that produces the biggest dopamine hit. It is the uncertainty of whether the reward is coming. Your brain doesn't go wild when you get a like. It goes wild in the moment before you see whether you got a like. That little window of not knowing is the most neurologically stimulating experience your phone delivers. And there is an infinite feed of those moments available to you at all times. Now compare that to your spreadsheet. Why work feels like pushing a boulder uphill. Here's what happens in your brain when you look at a difficult task. A region called the dorsomedial prefrontal cortex, your brain's internal accountant, calculates the effort cost of the task versus the expected reward. And for complex, ambiguous work with a payoff that is weeks away, that calculation comes back looking very grim. Researchers at Kyoto University recently identified a specific brain pathway that essentially slams the brakes on engaging with difficult or boring tasks. They call it motivational paralysis. It is not a personal failing, it is your brain doing exactly what brains do, avoiding energy expenditure when the reward is unclear or far away. Meanwhile, your limbic system, the ancient, emotionally driven part of your brain that has been around since before humans were humans, is shouting at your prefrontal cortex like an impatient toddler. It wants the reward now. Not in 3 weeks when you submit the project, now. And the prefrontal cortex, the newer, supposedly rational part of your brain that handles planning and self-control, is frankly kind of a pushover. Studies have shown that chronic procrastinators tend to have weaker connections between the brain's alarm system and the region that controls impulsive behavior. In the battle between the ancient screaming toddler brain and the responsible adult brain, the toddler wins a lot. Scrolling is the toddler getting exactly what it wants, every single time. The cruel twist. The more you scroll, the worse work gets. Here is the part that should genuinely concern you. The more your brain gets hit with rapid, unpredictable dopamine spikes from scrolling, the less sensitive it becomes to slower, quieter rewards. Neuroscientists call this downregulation. Your dopamine receptors, WAS, the little receivers that process reward signals, become less responsive over time when they are constantly overstimulated. What this means in practice is that the rewards that used to make work feel worthwhile, finishing a task, the slow satisfaction of making progress, the feeling of learning something, start to feel flat, muted, not worth the effort. Not because the rewards are actually smaller, but because your brain has recalibrated itself around a much higher baseline of stimulation. A 2026 study found a meaningful link between heavy smartphone use and decreased analytical cognitive performance. Another study of 660 people found that participants with stronger cognitive skills spent noticeably less time on their smartphones. I read that and felt personally attacked, which I think is the correct response. Work does not just feel hard because work is hard. Work feels hard because you have been training your brain with a fire hose of instant reward, and now the drip feed of effort-based satisfaction feels like nothing. So, what do you actually do about this first? Understand what you are actually dealing with. This is not a motivation problem. It is not a willpower problem. It is a brain chemistry problem that billion-dollar companies have deliberately engineered. So stop being mean to yourself about it. You are not lazy. You are just a human being with a reward system that was never designed for infinite scroll. Second, the research on procrastination consistently points to one counterintuitive fix. Make the start embarrassingly small. The dorsomedial prefrontal cortex, the one calculating effort cost, backs down when the task feels manageable. Open the document. Write one sentence. Do 90 seconds of the thing. Your brain's resistance is highest before you begin. Once you start, the calculus shifts. Third, put some friction between yourself and the scroll. Move the apps off your home screen. Turn off push notifications. The red dots are not reminders. They are bait. A former Facebook VP of growth literally said the platform was built around short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops. They knew. They built it anyway. And look, I am not going to sit here and tell you to delete everything and stare at a wall. The scroll is genuinely fun sometimes. The problem is when it is the only thing your brain will agree to do. Your brain is not broken. It is just being played. And now you know exactly how. Thanks for watching. If you're on your phone right now, which you probably are, try putting it down for the next 20 minutes and see what your brain does. My money is on it reaching for the phone again within 4 minutes. Prove me wrong. Subscribe for more science. Peace.